In today's class, we're going to hit the chest, and I'm going to show you one of my favorite push-up series using the foot bar. So let's go ahead and grab a water bottle and a sweat towel, set them aside because you most likely will need that. We are going to use a set of HandiBands by Hooked on Pilates. So if you have those, grab them now. If you don't, you can take a moment and just set it up to get some standard tubing or even some TheraBands if you want to try this. But if you don't, come back to this class, this full class, when you get a set of these. hookedonpilates.com. Get a set of light and heavier ones. You're going to love them. Now, we're going to use handles today. And I have the oversized. Let me step off camera. I didn't have the full set. Oh, no, I didn't. I have three. I'm going to use the oversized handles, custom designed for men's hands. But if you have recently purchased the combination straps, the loop and handle roll from Elements, you can just use those. But what I'm going to do is probably go back and forth, but primarily staying with the handle. So let's go ahead and set up handles. We're going to keep the risers up. I'm going to post the handles on the pegs. Let's set the straps aside. We may use those. And you can see how choked up these HandiBands. They're adjustable, so it's wonderful. I was obviously using them for something different in my last class. So I'm going to just pull these guys all the way in, adjust them to almost full length. So let me get them adjusted. This is how easy it is. Ta-da, now they're full length. So do the same thing on this side. My fingers are not working because it is very cold here in the desert. This is this video is being recorded in December, and for us desert rats, 40 degrees is really, really super cold. So I'm not complaining, but I have the sniffles and I'm a little cold this morning. So let's make sure they're all the same length. This one can go a little longer. And then once you've got these adjusted, you can go ahead and put those on. If you're putting your regular tubes on, just wrap them around. I like to put these right on the swivel pulleys on this balanced body. They fit perfect. If you have another reformer, you may need to make adjustments. And let's put those on the pegs. Put our long box on. And we are going to take the springs off to start with. You're going to hear buzzing in the background. And then once you've got the long box on, just go ahead and sit your HandiBands on the long box. So you're going to hear a buzzing in the background. It's been a while. Sometimes I go back and forth between rep counts. And today, and I'll tell you, when I have ADHD in my classes, I love using the Tabata Pro timer because I don't have to worry about rep counts. And you've watched many of my videos, hopefully, and you notice when I do rep count, I'm all over the place. So I do my best, but I fail at counting reps tremendously. So today we're going to keep it going. So you're going to hear a little beep, beep, beep in the background. And that's basically the Tabata timer keeping us going. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. Give us 30 seconds to get set up. So let's go ahead and let me try that one more time. Make sure you can hear it. There we go. Yep. All right. Step in the well, grab the HandiBands. And what we're going to do is we're going to go from a sitting into a standing series. So we're just going to push ourselves back. And based on your limb length and your reformer height, I'm just going to get my sit bones at the edge. So we're going to start like we normally do with like kneeling arm series. And we'll just do 30 seconds of arm circles. So let's go up, out, and around. Continue, just do those nice arm circles, staying within a range. That feels good. The great thing about the HandiBands is if I want more range backward, I could just choke them up a little bit more and it's going to pull me back into more of a stretch. But this one seems to work just fine where I've got it. Reverse. The load is in my sitting bones. I'm just rested right against it. I'm still focusing on navel in and up, length through the crown of my head, and arm circles. Sorry, I got an eyelash in my eye. There we go. Getting those shoulders ready, prepped for the ability to have the mobility and range of motion to do our chest workout. Let's go ahead and do underhand anterior raises, up and down. So offering, as you know, some of you know, when I do my arm raises, I think less about the arms going up, and I'm thinking about more of the fingertips, the pinky side reaching forward, activating my lats, my pecs, and my abs. Now let's go to shoulder presses overhead. Focusing on that nice incline on that press. And if for some reason you find that the green bands are a little too heavy for the warm-up and you want to do lighter, that's where that set of peach bands really helps. Flex forward at the hips, palms face back, abs are in, still leaned up against the box, reach the arms to the foot bar, lower it back down, aside the frame. Abs are in, really reaching your skull. Anytime we do the same movement, whether it's standing, sitting, flex forward, when we can change gravity on the joint, it's really nice. So we're going to do one arm press with rotation and switch. Keeping it slow to start with. The great thing about keeping those hips on is you really can stabilize the pelvis to get true rotation without worrying whether or not your hips are all over the place. And we're going to take it from overhead to underhand. So we're going to go rotate as you press. So some of you know this is single arm serving with rotation. Looking over the shoulder, feeling as though when you rotate, that ear is being pulled forward as opposed to thinking looking over your shoulder. So pull right ear forward, left ear forward, and right ear forward, and left ear forward. Good. Let's go ahead and stand up now. Turn around, face back. I'm going to have you now lean against the foot bar. So we're doing the opposite. And let's just start some rows. Let's do palms face in for 30. Anytime we're doing a workout and we really want to hit a specific body part, it's very beneficial to do everything, to kind of hit a little bit of everything. So now let's do palms face up. And that's kind of what we're doing here, mid to low level arm series just to warm everything up. And then let's go to straight arms, palms face down, and presses wrist to the foot bar. You can incorporate these HandiBands in either the warm-up series as we're doing now. You can do it as an actual strength. There's many times where I will take one, for me personally, I will take one HandiBand, put both hands together to get a little bit more strength, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. So go ahead and pull both of them to one arm and do rows. If this is too big for you, you can always loop the handles a couple times around each other So you just can hold on to one. That's another option. So you're getting a little bit stronger resistance. You can also choke them up, tighten them a little bit more. Switch sides, rowing with the right. So the options of adding different programming and standing or leaning or bent over work, standing, the HandiBands are absolutely amazing. And you can see in some of my lessons when I'm doing yellow springs, sometimes yellow spring is even too heavy for some of the strength work. So I have a trick of putting the HandiBands on to make it lighter. Let's go and undo that. Let's go ahead and stand now with the bands crossed. I'm going to place my legs against a frame. If you have the reformer on the floor or it's really narrow, you may need to step legs wide because I've seen some really narrow reformers. But this one's pretty wide. I can get that in there. Arms out and just press. Somewhere between shoulder level and hip level. We don't want to go all the way down. We just kind of want to find the happy medium between shoulder level and hip level. So instead of a low V, like a medium low V, if you call them low Vs. Working that posterior shoulder. I'm starting to think, well, we're going to be doing some chest workout. So as my arms come forward, I'm trying to fire the pecs, like I'm doing a hug a tree. Let's rest for 30 and we'll do that one more. So anytime we're working the back of the shoulder or the front of the shoulder being the pec, we don't want to forget about the decelerating muscles. So as my arms come forward, decelerate with the pecs. So we're not just letting the springs or letting the bands throw our arms forward, especially when we're doing heavy. We want to have that control. All right, we got 5 more seconds. We'll do this again at a medium low V. Abs in, and let's go. Lengthen through the skull. Oh, that's really good. That feels great. All right, uncross them. Let's do a little tricep work. So bent over, and let's do triceps first. Bent elbows. Remembering hamstrings and triceps are biarticulate, so you want to make sure you do them bent and then straight. So we'll do bent. And when the buzzer buzzes, we'll do straight arm, working the shoulder instead of the elbow. So arms down and presses back. The one great thing, the million great things and reasons why the HandiBands are so great is you can take some of the exercises that require stability on the reformer, sitting or kneeling, and you can bring them onto the floor just to help teach stable exercises. All right, 30-second rest. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do some side standing rotator work. So you're going to do one hand. Let me think if I can remember how I do this. So arms are crossed, and then yes, there we go. So arms are going to be crossed, and we'll flip it around where the foot bar arm is always holding the front strap. Otherwise, they'll cross. So we're going to go ahead and start by keeping our elbows tight to our body, and then go in and out. So this is a real time saver. I'm going to go a little wider on my feet, and I'm going to go a little farther away to get more work. So instead of having to do internal rotation on left arm, then external rotation on right arm, and doing the other side, we can get bang for your buck, get both of them done at the same time. Starting to burn, 30 seconds more, we'll do a whole minute. If you start burning and you find that your shoulders are retracting or pinching together, just simply sidestep closer to take that off. Absolutely love this one, even though I'm giving you a nice squishy face. All right, 30-second recovery, then we'll go facing the other direction. Remembering, front foot bar arm is holding the front. Oh yeah, I guess, hold on. Foot bar arm holding the front, turn around, foot bar arm. Yeah, so that was great. That just kind of blew my mind. All I have to do is turn and I don't have to change my hand. I used to expect to have to change things around. So yeah, here, foot bar arm, here. All right, let's go this way. Widen your feet just enough. And really pay attention to really control those arms so the band isn't being flung around. As I mentioned, decelerators. So not only are we getting bang for the buck because we're doing 30 seconds more, not only are we getting double the amount of work in the same amount of time, but we're also working our core in such an amazing way, starting to fatigue out because I've got recovering from my right arm rotator cuff injury. So I'm going to pace it a little slower for the last few seconds. All right, excellent job. Let's rest for 30 seconds. Then we're going to do a facing front series. So we're going to stand, and it's kind of like for anybody that's a boxer, please forgive me. I know I'm probably saying it wrong because I'm not a boxer and I don't know that, but I think of like a punch and jab. So we're going to kind of do that. I've boxed before, but just tried it out. But this is kind of my take on, a little bit of work. So we're going to do right leg back, left leg forward. Whatever leg is forward is the side we're going to rotate. So I'm going to press left overhead. As my right goes underhand, I'm going to rotate, pulling my arm back. Left punches high, right underhand cuts low. Rotate right, rotate left. We're going to do a minute each leg position and arm. Right under, left over. And then we'll switch legs and switch arms. Now, when I want a really good cardio, I absolutely love doing this one really fast. There's a couple exercises with the HandiBands I love to do for cardio. One is this one is facing the other direction. Let's switch. One is facing the other direction, right high, left underhand, right overhand, and rotate and switch. When I'm facing back, bent over, I love to do fast arm pulls. Really great. So when we were facing the other direction, we were doing straight arms and triceps bent over. Doing them really fast is wonderful. Burns the shoulders, gets the heart rate up. 30 seconds more, stabilizing in the hips, rotating in the torso. Use that same cue, ear, pulse forward if you want. One high, one horizontal, right high, left horizontal. 10 seconds left. All right, let's go ahead and step out of the well. Take those HandiBands off, and we're gonna go into a push-up, foot bar push-up series. We're gonna set the HandiBands here. We may or may not come back to them depending on where we go with this. So that basic warm-up, let me grab some water. That basic warm-up with the HandiBands can be done 10, 15, even 20 minutes. Depends on what you wanna do with your programming. And there is some great, if you have the room off the back, there's some great standing series, feet in these straps that you can do as well. So let's just start with a nice little stretch. Push the bed back or bang it back like I did. Chest up, lats and pecs, Heels lifted, lower heels, stretch hips back, and then back up. Let's do that for 30 seconds. Heels down, hip flex. Let this just kind of get the shoulders range of motion without a load. Get the back, spine, and hamstrings and calves to stretch a little bit. If this is your first movement of the day and you're joining me early as you start your day, it's going to be a wonderful routine to start your day. And if you're ending, it's a great way to finish off. We'll have some nice strength and stretches. Now drop in to that stretch, secure your left hand on, take your right hand off, rotate. Make sure this is only, the left hand is only touching. It's not too much pushing. We don't want the bed and the box to slide switch. Drop down, flexing hips, flexing spine, and then a rotating spine. 30 seconds more. If you need to widen your legs, be my guest. If you want to move your hands down to the frame, that's another option you have. And then stand up. Let's do a quick little lower outer hip stretch. Give our upper body a little bit of recovery before we go back to it. Now the push-up series we're going to do has basically all about different hand positions and adjusting the body. If you need help, always keep one foot underneath you, and I'll show you what that spot is. Go ahead and flex forward at the hips, rotate a little bit. I like to offer people push-ups at least 2 to 3 times a week in my programming for a couple reasons. No one is ever said I'm way too strong in the upper body. And a lot of my female clients that do take my athletic classes benefit tremendously by having push-up series put in. Every single client of mine, female that is, will tell, let's switch sides, will tell me how their golf instructor says they can't believe how strong their shoulders are. Their tennis friends that they play tennis with are shocked. I have a client that's, let's flex forward at the hips, I believe she's 78, and her musculature just looks so good just by doing, push-ups all the time. And not on the floor and not kneeling by any means. I call them counter push-ups. It's just at that level. Let's drop down, rotate. So I have a client that was recovering from a shoulder replacement, got done with her physical therapy, and had lost so much of her upper body strength. And at her age, she can't afford to lose her upper body strength. So I told her, every time you walk into the kitchen, put your hands before you eat anything or make anything or clean anything. Put your hands on the counter and pound out 10 push-ups on the counter. She was back to her strength within 30 days from doing that every time. She said, in the beginning, I'd maybe do, let's sit, if you put the HandiBands there, go ahead and sit them down because our hands are going to need to go in that area, or drop them on the floor. Let's start with standard push-ups, starting always with the end in mind. So place your pecs on, step your feet out. Now, if you need a spot, always keep one toe underneath you for a spot. If you feel you can do some full prescribed with both legs out, start there. And when you fatigue, put that foot back under. So let's go ahead and go into nice 30 seconds. We are still what I would consider in the warm-up phase prior to doing our strength, but some of you will feel this is strength. And up. We're going to do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off between. Otherwise, we're going to burn out and have a chance to hurt the shoulders. So going back to my client, did her push-up. She was up to 100 a day. And this is a client that had a shoulder replacement. It was a reverse shoulder. And she's, I think, pushing 80. Hopefully she never sees this video. She might be late 70s, but it's remarkable. Just walking into that kitchen, 10 counter push-ups, go on with what you're gonna do. Let's do still wide, but underhand. Start with the end in mind and press up. So if you know anybody that can benefit, whether male or female, from more upper body strength, and that's a great way because building endurance in our upper body is so beneficial for tossing and throwing and using your racket or your golf club and rest. So always doing your push-ups on the floor isn't the best thing because we're not constantly in our daily activity pushing something really heavy away. So give that a try, see if it changes. You can give yourself a 30-day challenge or your students a 30-day push-up challenge, not on the floor, incline. And now that client I was talking about, let's do underhand left, overhand right. And they're going to be a little wider than shoulders. And let's go. So you can do push-up challenge with your students, with yourself. If you get the strength, and let's say your counter push-ups just don't even challenge you at all, find something a little lower. So for me at home, rest, and then we'll switch to left over, right under. For me at home, my counters are right about here. So they're not that challenging. So I will take a towel, put it over the edge of my sofa, I suppose it's called, and do push-ups on the couch. That was the word I was looking for, couch, sofa couch. So that's a little bit stronger for me. And then on the days I don't feel like going to the ground, I may do it somewhere a little lower. Let's switch. Actually, yeah. I do. And rest. So we did wide over, wide under, over, under, over. And now we're going to do step out. So what I like to do is start with my body all on one side. So I'm going to step all the way to the right. My hands are still going to be wide, but my body is next to my left. So I'm going to be coming up, push up, step, and switch. So let's start with the end in mind. Both hands wide, left chest by your left hand, legs wide, press up, step to right. Push up, close to the right hand. Press up, step to left, push up, close to the left hand. Up to right, up to left, up to right, up to left, up to right. Step in one if you need to, like this. If you need to have that support. If not, keep both your legs back. We'll do that one more time. So this push-up series, I'm feeling a chest workout already. It can also, if you have a student that doesn't have, I'm recovering from a shoulder injury, so I'm not going to take and increase the load. But if you have a student that can do them with a foot bar lower or here, please put them there if they can do this whole sequence. Let's do that one more time, starting left, up, right, up, left, up, right, left, up, right, up, left, up, right. Keep going. And rest. The last two are going to be a tricep, underhand tricep, and an overhand tricep. So we did wide grip, over under. Basically, it's narrow, over under. Yeah, and then that's it for today. You can do another day, you might just do a push-up ladder where we start foot bar up and we slowly drop it down, and then we do it on the floor and then come back up. That's really fun. So underhand narrow, and let's go. 10 or 30 seconds since we're not counting today. And rest. So let's say you started without a spot, you didn't feel that you needed that foot underneath you, but now you're starting to maybe feel strain in the shoulder or fatigue. Please, by all means, take your foot and bring it forward for a spot. If it's here, it's minimal help. If it's way underneath you, it's a lot more support. So don't work through bad pains. If it's muscle fatigue and you're just getting some lactic burn, that's okay. All right, let's go. Narrow overhand. And rest. All right, so let's go ahead and step out. We're gonna do it's kind of like a single arm hug a tree and underhand press series, but we're gonna load it up as an option. I'm gonna first show you a couple different, while we're resting, a couple different variations you can do. Taking the arm behind you is gonna increase your range of motion. Taking yourself and coiling the loops around will also increase your range of motion. So for me, what I would do probably is 2 around and do it on a red spring. This is my athletic setup because I'm anchoring myself here with my shins, as opposed to when we do it light with Pilates. I want to focus on balance. When we're doing strength, always find a position that works well. Here is the other version for those people that have the reformers closer to the ground, or your preference is to sit like this. That also acts as a ground. So it doesn't matter which one you prefer. Since I'm here, I'll just do this version. So get yourself set. I'm making sure I'm not pinched here. Knee is against the spring side edge. Find which one works for you, and let's go ahead and do some chest hug-a-trees. So I'm going low to about chest level. I'm not thinking about my arm coming to my midline. I'm thinking about my knuckles reaching forward to help turn my lats and pecs on versus just being in my pecs and shoulders. Now let's go underhand presses. So you'll also notice it's not horizontal to the foot bar. The press is at an angle past my knee. And that is a really strong spring for this, following that hug-a-tree fly. But it feels good. Now we're gonna rest for 30 seconds and we'll complete that one more time with both. You have the option of adding more springs or taking the spring tension down. Today I'm gonna stay there for the 2 reps or for the 2 rounds. Sometimes if I'm going to start a little lighter, I'll ladder it and I'll start this on a blue, go to a red, go to red and yellow. And if I'm really wanting to hit it hard, I'll ladder back down. So there's so many different options when you're athletic programming. Let's go ahead and round 2 of hug a tree low, reaching the knuckles forward. If you want to decrease your range of motion or you want to lighten your springs, do that on the second rep, second set. I don't think what word I wanted there. Underhand presses at that angle. I got my hand here to make sure I'm only pressing as far as I can keep that pec on. Man, this is a killer on this red. What was I thinking? Maybe a little easier on my other side because this is my shoulder I'm recovering, so I don't have as much strength on it. And rest. Give yourself a minute to recover. Let's go and uncoil the rope. Coil twice around if you're doing the same as I am. Post that strap. Give yourself a whole minute to rest. Grab some water and we'll switch sides. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides. And let's just start low to high. Actually, we have 10 more seconds just so we're on that 30-second timer. Get yourself set up. Make sure you're as comfortable as possible. Hips are as level, abs are in, and we should be ready in a few seconds. Okay, let's go. One red spring is probably going to be just the right medium plus for most students that are already working strength. But single arm in this position, wrapped a couple times around for range of motion. Let's do underhand presses. May feel either heavy or maybe for underhand presses or flies, it feels right for one or the other. But it's important to find something that's, again, this is athletic, so we want to challenge some strength, but it's most important to focus on form prior to strength. So if you're a student that needs to work on form, make sure they're not allowed to load it up. Rest for 30. So I would probably say most newer students that are working on form, I would do a yellow just to get them through it and to learn so they're not all over the place if they don't have that stability. And a red is probably going to be good for most people with some strength. Single arm is always more challenging, especially with the rope wrapped. So getting ready for the second round. Let's go. Reaching the knuckles forward as you do that hug a tree. Underhand. Keeping that spine reaching up through your skull, lengthening up. Navel's always reaching in and up. Slow the pace down if you're burning out. This is a very, very small movement, but very isolating in that pec and shoulder. All right. That was not bad. I actually enjoyed those. I haven't done those two series in a while. The single side, what was I going to say? Having one of those old timers day today. Single side loaded. I haven't done that in a while. Let's go ahead and drop the foot bar down a notch if you have these. If not, you can just keep it up, but adjust it according. With my higher reformers, I like to always drop it down because I want my butt to be against it. I've got one spring and it's set up on the center. So I've got my knees are soft. You can see my knees are actually blocking the carrot, so I need to be very careful. This is gonna be palms face in to start with. presses on a green or a center spring, whatever is your center spring. It's a great way to work the pecs and shoulders. It should be medium. If this is medium plus or heavy, go to a red spring or a blue. And we're going to go right into overhand, so adjust it. Thumbs are down, fingers are on, elbows go wide. Getting a little bit different arm position as we work through the ranges of motion. Kind of like we do when we did our push-ups, all different hand positions is going to dictate what we're feeling. I'm feeling pecs, shoulders, triceps, and biceps, and a little lats on that decelerating phase. Let's go ahead and do underhand. So fingers face down, thumbs on the outside. Really start with your wrist stretched and press out. This is wonderful. I love to do this one because my fingers are so tight from always gripping stuff. So it's a wonderful carpal stretch, as well as a challenge for me not to prevent the fingers from bending as it comes in. And rest for 30, careful on the shins. We'll do that one more time, giving you the option to increase. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a yellow on. And what that's gonna do is just add a little bit more of a strength. Be very careful if your feet are in the well, when your feet are in the well, to go a little wider. I like to have a medium, but I'm only using the 2 center springs. So if they're rubbing against your inner calves, just stay on 1 center spring. Start with palms face down, presses. As you're flexing the hips, the goal is to maintain some nice neutral spine, so we're not flexed in the lumbar or thoracic, and we're always really lengthening our skull. Now that some of us added a little bit of strength, it's time to add a 30-second rest. If you felt that still wasn't strong enough, you can change it to a blue, a red, and a green and a blue. Just know that your spring tension is completely personal to you. Mine is to me. So if I suggest something and you think it's inappropriate for yourself in any of the classes, make sure you just go with what feels right to you. All right, so now we did over. Let's do palms face in and press. Now, when I do this super heavy, this series I have done in my athletic classes where I'm putting 3 springs on. The reason why we want our hips in this position is because we do not want the bed sliding. So if I'm pushing in an athletic class really heavy, 3 springs, and I'm standing rest, and I'm standing outside the well, my bed's going to go shooting through the wall. So by having our hips anchored, you're going to find that that's going to help tremendously. So we got that 30-second rest. We did over, we did in. Now we're going to do under. I think we're hitting the shoulder girdle, the chest really well today. I like this series. Hopefully you do too. All right, so externally rotate, thumbs out, fingers on the spring side edge, and press out. Getting that wrist and finger stretch as it comes in. It's amazing how my left fingers feel fine, but my ring and middle finger on my right, man, those are tight. So that's obviously needing this. And I'm kind of really stretching back a little bit more by initiating with that elbow cap pressure and rest. Slowly push out, bring your feet up, and then step all the way out. So looks like we've got about 9 minutes left of class. So let's use that as opportunity to do one last chest blast. Put the box out of the way. Let me just test this because I haven't done this in a long time. All right, so that's going to be too heavy for me after that. I'm going to start with one red spring. It's just offering single arm underhand press. So inside leg is pressed up against the frame for stability. I'm getting a little partial lunge and I'm flexing forward at the hips. And my goal is to not listen to the counter. In fact, I'll drop the counter off and we'll just finish. Let me just silence it. We'll just finish it with rep count. When I like to do super strength and I want to do some strength here to just finish this off, we'll just do 8 reps. So getting in that lunge, organize and lengthen spine, abs in, and press for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. If you need a spot, 2, just grab the hand. 1, rest, post the strap, let's switch sides. Recover for a few seconds. Remembering if you go too heavy, remember, if it's too heavy and you're really using momentum, your bed is going to go flying. So be very mindful. There, you can always step back, put the foot up against, when I've done some serious strength, and then step out and do that. Just coil and wrap. But for today, it's not too heavy. So let's go ahead and do this side. Set up, underhand left. Nice little lunge. Left leg is against the frame for support. Flex forward at the hips, abs in, spine lengthen. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go ahead and do one more round each. So step. If you feel that that red or the spring you've chosen is not enough, please, last set, so add on now. We'll just finish off with this. You know what? I'm going to throw a yellow on just for fun. Challenge myself a little bit more. We'll just finish off with a few stretches and then it'll be done. So kind of hit just about everything. Play around with the HandiBands and really try to see how many different warm-up variations you can do with those. It's really fun. And you don't always have to put them on the risers. Oftentimes you'll see me put them on the foot bar too. All right, so last set, get set up. Right leg back against the frame, left foot forward in a lunge, flex forward at the hips, abs in, spine length, lats and pecs are activated on that right shoulder, and let's do 8, 7, 6, 5, getting a little sliding in the bed, I need to slow it down, 4, 3, 2, 1 more, and switch. Having to pace yourself and to slow yourself down is really great for guys that come from the gym who tend to, like I used to, use weight that was way too heavy, and I would just use momentum. The wonderful thing about, there's a lot of exercises you can't use momentum. The standing series, when you're on the actual carriage, you use momentum, you go down. You try to use momentum or too much power output without feeling grounded and stable, your bed will go flying. So I like those 2 reasons or examples to teach guys, slow it down. You'll get your strength in time. You don't have to go crazy. All right, let's go ahead. Last set, left leg against frame, right in a lunge. Flex forward at the hips, hand is at the ribs, lengthen spine, engage glutes, and let's go for 8, 7, 6, I think I'm too far forward, 5, there we go, 4, 3, 2, 1 more, and rest. Let's go ahead and take the springs off. Take the foot bars vertical or standard if you have that option. Take it vertical. And what we're going to do is just take the hand on the bar and then just drop down, stretching the pec. So you first reach the arm out. Second, flex forward at the hips. Once the hand touches, continue to flex at the hips, and it's going to stretch that pec. Where you're going to reach the arm farther away to get a deeper stretch and back up. Let's do 2 more, and then we're going to add some rotation away from the foot bar. And 1 more. Some of you are going to feel a great pec stretch here. Some of you are not. And let's add some rotation for 5 all the way down. Once you get there, rotate your torso away and back. So I'm going to put my hand behind my back, drop into the stretch, rotate away. If you need to, I'm going to show you this variation. Get more of a stretch. You can widen your legs, put one leg on the carriage, drop down. For longer limb students, this works really great. And rotate. If you need to close the chain for any reason, put your right hand on and just rotate and pull with that right hand. There's so many different options. Last one. Oh, it feels really good. Switch. So we're going to start here. Feet parallel, hip distance, flex at the hips, hands down and back. So you're going to basically reach the arm out, flex at the hips. When you're done flexing the hips, then it's lumbar flexion, dropping down further into that stretch. If you want to get a little bit deeper stretch, adjust the hand back a little farther. Just find a position that works for you. There's nothing wrong or right. Reach past the wrist. Now let's increase it. Let's do this abduction, turned out position, and let's one hand behind the back. Adjust your outfit according. And once you're down there, rotate away and up. If you want to put one hand on the frame for support and a push. If you need to bring the bed in more, you can do that and rotate. So there's so many different options to give yourself to get a nice pec stretch. All right, let's go ahead and have a seat. You're going to work that, stretch that anterior shoulder for the last exercise. And I will do this oftentimes to warm my shoulders up for a shoulder and chest workout or to stretch them out. So legs are straight, hands are spring side edge. Bring our body off, keeping our elbows straight, slowly lower into a stretch. This can be done with your hands on the foot bar. If you're on the shorter reformers, do a reverse version of this and do it here. So it doesn't matter what feels best for you. Let's do 4 more. 3 more. 2. Last one. And let's try underhand. Actually, over. No, this is under, whatever. Switch your hand position. Under, over, depends on. And then drop down. If you have any rotator pain, keep it always the underhand version. Overhand is external rotation. 2 more, and it could cause some pain if you have an injury or recovered. And rest. Okay, so that concludes for today's class with a primary focus on building some chest strength and using the HandiBands for a nice, wonderful warm-up and the push-up series. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the class, and I'll see you again.